I could talk about how every musical idea in this entire show is reused at least once over the course of the show. That is pretty much true. I can talk about all of the different motifs. I can talk about all of the chords. But like, I really want to dive into one particular piece of music that keeps coming back. And it's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard in my life. And it's the Swing Your Razor High theme that we hear every time the Ballad of Sweeney Todd comes up throughout the show, which is a lot. It happens a lot. We're going to look at 3 versions of them and see how, as the show goes on, the harmony gets weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder until in the finale it's like, what is happening in this choral section? It's craziness. So this is the opening number. The opening number, we start off, a good opening number sets the tone for the show that's about to come, so the audience knows what to expect. So already we're starting from a place of weird harmony and that horror sound. The chorus is singing, this is the melody, swing your razor wide, Sweeney, hold it to the skies, freely flows the blood of those who moralize. Something interesting about that is that it's a third up from the dies irae. If you add a third harmony, the is a harmony with the dies irae. But the dies irae itself is not here. The tenor part is not. It could have been like, swing your razor wide, Sweeney, but it's not. It's swing your razor wide, Sweeney. So there's these big jumps in the tenor part, but you know, it's still kind of normal. He's outlining the tenor, well, all of the tenors, I guess, are outlining just a standard F sharp minor triad, so nothing too crazy there. It lines up pretty well with the soprano part. Like, there's no big clashes there. The bass has some weirdness in it. The bass is doubled in octaves, so some of the basses are singing, swing your razor wide, and some of the basses are going down the octave, swing your razor wide. So there's that one weird note here, which is this E sharp. Swing your razor wide. That E sharp in a minor key, the sharp note there tends to lead back to the home note of the key. We have, we're in F sharp minor, so that E sharp kind of da da wants to rise to the F sharp, but it doesn't. So that's the one weird thing that happens in the choral harmony here. And there's a little bit of a clash in the piano, but again, not that much. We have this in the piano part. So far, it's pretty much normal. That's the only one that's kind of weird because we're getting this like augmented chord, but still it's not like, it's still a standard triad. It's just one of the weirder standard triads, the augmented triad. Then here there's a clash. That's the weirdest notes, the weirdest chord so far, and it's in the piano. And the piano has these parallel major sevenths, so this interval, which is a really clashy interval because if you put them in the same octave, if you took this F sharp and moved it down, they'd be right next to each other on the piano. So that major seventh interval is kind of clashy and weird. And then here there's the G to the F sharp, which is a major seventh, and then here there's an A to the G sharp, which is also a major seventh, so we get these two major sevenths right next to each other. So just a little hint of something weird going on in the piano. But again, the choral part is pretty normal. The tenor's outlining the F sharp, blending well with the sopranos. The sopranos and altos are singing the same part here, so there's no clash between them. So even though it's a little bit scary, you know, it's not totally outlandish. We're not slapping the audience across the face with crazy atonal harmony right away. Then, At last, my right arm is complete again. Swing your razor wide, Sweeney. The same thing happens again at the end of My Friends, when Sweeney is reunited with his razor. And this is, by the way, a totally non-exhaustive list of the moments in the show where this happens. I'm just looking at 3 specific ones. Again, this is almost identical to what we saw before. The only difference is that the basses now sing this weird part that emphasizes the major 7th that we saw in parallel. Before, the piano was going like this, right? But the basses were not. The basses were singing, swing your razor wide, Sweeney, or something like that, that lined up better with the sopranos. Now they're singing, lift your razor high, Sweeney. That's very weird. Like, trying to find that note if you're listening to the sopranos. Like, I'm gonna sing the bass part and play the soprano part. Ready? Lift your razor high, Sweeney. Right? Like, there's that clash now is emphasized in the vocal part, which it wasn't before. But again, the tenors are singing the same thing as they were. Lift your razor high, Sweeney. Outlining that F sharp minor triad. Nothing too crazy there. The sopranos and altos again singing together. Lift your razor high, Sweeney. So even though we have now the basses emphasizing that major 7th clash, it's still not totally weird. There's a bit more weirdness happening in the piano part. Under here it's singing Yes, where we get these parallel major 7ths. It goes like this. The left hand goes like this. That's kind of funky. That's kind of funky fresh. Putting it together with the right hand, it sounds like this. So far, pretty normal. Then we get this chord. Ooh, that is totally a normal F sharp minor. But now we add this F. That F makes it into an F sharp minor with a major 7th. More on that later. And then we go to this A major triad, which is over that F. Or, oops, that's not the F. There we go. So it's this normal major triad with this note in the bottom that totally clashes in this major 7th. And then we get this resolution to a totally standard B major chord. So we have, again, these little hints of conflict, these little hints of major 7ths that are causing a little bit of clash. Again, here though, they're not emphasized in the vocal part. So the only part where the clashes are emphasized in the vocal part this time is here with this bass part that I demonstrated. The first time, the clashes are not emphasized in the vocal part at all. The second time, they're emphasized only here. Skip ahead to the very end of the show. It just keeps getting stranger and stranger and stranger, with more and more dissonance, more and more clashing every time we hear that theme. In the finale, we hear that theme, and it's like, whoa, what is happening? Well, so Beetle and Pirelli sing it together. First of all, Beetle is singing, like, really high, like in this very high mix. It's a role written for a man, but he's singing, swing your razor wide, Sweeney, like all the way up there in a mix. And then Pirelli is singing the lower harmony. This is what the lower harmony sounds like. Swing your razor wide, Sweeney. That's the lower harmony. So it's like these tenors like screeching in this very high mix area. And then listen to it if I play them together. So far, pretty normal. But then we get this. Like, it's just so chaotic and strange. And then these chords in the piano are completely, like, chaotic. So again, like, it's a totally different arrangement than we had before when the whole chorus was singing together. And then when everyone at the end, everyone starts overlapping, and then when they all sing Sweeney at the end, we get this very, very crazy couple of bars of music. This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. So here we do have the soprano and the alto splitting apart from each other. And then we also have the basses and the baritones splitting apart from each other. So we're going from 3 parts, which we had at the beginning. Now we're in 5 parts. So there's extra splits. There's extra complexity in the harmony. And each part is ridiculous on its own. So the soprano part is... I don't even have a hope in hell of hitting that note. It's like almost the Christine Haie from Phantom of the Opera. And then goes down the semitone. So the soprano part is like... with this like chromatic part, but then there's like a full tone jump. The alto part is doing this. Sweetie, sweetie. That's the altos. That's the altos. That's the lower harmony. Is the lower harmony there. And if you put them together, they make no sense together. The soprano is going while the alto is going. So putting it together is... Isn't that terrifying? What the heck is happening there? You have the altos and the sopranos like both singing in this incredibly high screechy part of their register right next to each other on the piano in like this very, very shrill, scary sound. It's like horrifying. It makes me just like sick to my stomach to listen to, which of course is the exact effect that Stephen Sondheim is going for. Then the poor tenors, all the tenors in the entire ensemble, have to sing this brutal part. Sweeney! Sweeney! Like, all the way up there. And then hold in a fortissimo so they can't falsetto it. They have to full belt Sweeney! On a B flat, which I'm not warmed up for. And then down to, instead of going down a semitone, like the rest of the chorus, they go down a full tone, so it changes the way the harmony sounds. Everything is completely chaotic. Then the baritones, these are the baritones, so these are the low singing men. They go to a G natural. Sweeney, 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 all the way up there. That's the low men, that's the baritones. And then the basses, Sweeney, 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 they stay on the same note. So most of the chorus, the baritones, the sopranos, the altos, they go down a semitone from where they are on Sweeney. But the tenors go down a full tone and the basses stay on the same note. So there's no consistency between the vocal parts. Everything is changing in a way that is totally unpredictable and very, very unsettling. So we've gone from this place where in the original, the opening number, it's pretty standard harmony. There's a few little flavors of clashing, but you know, the choral part on their own sounds very nice together. There's only 3 divisi splits. Then we get this part in the end of My Friends where now the clash is being emphasized in the vocal part, so the basses are singing the clashing part, which is new. It adds a little bit more unsettling flavor to it, but not that much. And then it just keeps getting more and more unsettling until at the end, everyone is screaming in this ridiculously, ridiculously, ridiculously high register in like semitones right next to each other. So the way that he layers this Ballad of Sweeney Todd throughout the show helps to maintain kind of the narrative integrity of the show, so it all feels cohesive and it all feels tied together narratively. But also, musically, as the audience gets more comfortable with the crazy, crazy sounds of this score, throughout the show he's able to add in more and more dissonant, more and more unsettling harmony until the finale is just like this complete cluster F of chaos. And he builds that tension throughout.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Marquee is a free weekly Broadway appreciation newsletter with essays, reviews, piano talks, Broadway blasts, quizzes, and more. Sign up for the complimentary or premium edition and learn about all classes and projects at thebroadwaymaven.com. And here's a video I think you'll like.